Hey, what's going on? You're listening to English with Dane, a podcast designed to help you practice your English. As always, I'm your host, Dane, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at English with Dane. I hope you voted for the movie of the week, by the way, because if you're hearing this, then it means that it's too late to vote, right? Demasiado tarde. I'll announce the winner after the show, so stay tuned for that. Spoiler alert, it wasn't even close. One of the movies won by a huge margin. All right, on today's episode, I'm going to start with a segment that is quickly becoming my favorite. It's a segment that talks about weird news stories from around the world. And of course, I'm talking about strange news. And then I'm going to follow that with our Today in History segment, where we take a look back in time to see what happened on a day like this, but many years ago. So let's start the show. You are listening to the 7th episode of English with Dane. Hit it. Okay, let's get into our first segment of the day, because today we have segments, apparently. And our first segment, as I mentioned in the intro, is Strange News.
Strange news.
That can't be real.
So we start off, empezamos, in Florida, in a place called Newport Richey, where a woman's baby was accidentally locked in a car. Okay, the woman accidentally closed the door and then discovered that she had left, que había dejado, the keys inside. Her baby was in the back seat. Now, in Florida, it gets really, really hot, and it's also really humid, so it's very easy to get dehydrated. And unfortunately, every year there are several cases of babies being locked in cars like this. However, this one has a happy ending. So the woman called the police because she needed help rescuing her baby. And the closest officers, los agentes más cercanos, were transporting a group of inmates, right? A group of prisoners. So the police couldn't open the door, right? No pudieron abrir la puerta. So the prisoners or inmates decided to help. They used a few different techniques and managed to unlock the car using a metal clothes hanger, una percha. And there's a video online of them doing it. So if you want to check it out, if you want to see it, you can Google "prisoners help rescue baby" and it will show up. It'll come up. Aparecerá. I thought it was a great story and an ironic story too, because I'm sure that some of those prisoners were in prison in the first place for doing things exactly like that. This story was from NBC News, by the way. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next piece of strange news happened 10 days ago in Texas. Now, as you know, in the United States, April Fool's Day is on April 1st, okay? El Día de los Inocentes. I know in Spain, it's on the 28th of December. And I'm sure in other parts of the world, it lands on other days as well. So the headline reads, Texas civil court judge, juez, accidentally resigns. Now, real quick before we continue, to resign means to quit. Okay, dimitir, renunciar. It doesn't mean resignarse. Some of my students have made that mistake in the past. So, again, Texas civil court judge accidentally resigns. So let's find out what happened. It says, a newly elected judge in Houston accidentally resigned on Monday, according to local media and a county official, after he shared plans online to run for the state Supreme Court, apparently unaware that the Texas Constitution considers such an announcement an automatic resignation. So he was a newly elected judge, a recently elected judge, Bill McLeod, that's his name. And he declined to comment on the situation. So in the state constitution, the Texas state constitution, Article 16, Section 65, it says, dice, that a judge's announcement of candidacy for another office shall constitute an automatic resignation of the office then held. In other words, if you publicly announce that you are going after another job in office, another position in office, it means that you automatically resign, que dimites automáticamente from your current position. So now this man is in a very strange situation. He accidentally resigned because he wasn't aware, no era consciente, that you can't publicly declare that you are going after or you are applying for another position in office. However, county commissioners, so commissioners del condado, who can appoint replacement, reemplazos, may decide to keep McLeod in office until there is a special election. What a weird situation to be in. So now if they decide to keep him, there has to be a special election. I'll follow up on that story, and if it gets resolved, I'll tell you about it. That story, by the way, was from Reuters, okay? And it was written by Gabriela Broder. Next one. Again, from Reuters. They have some really good ones. The headline reads, "Lawsuit says TGI Fridays potato skins contain no potato skins." Remember on last week's show, we also had this word come up, right, surgir, the word lawsuit. So a lawsuit is a problem taken to a court of law by an ordinary person or an organization instead of to the police, right, in order to obtain, conseguir, a legal decision, right? Like I said, un pleito. So again, lawsuit says TGI Fridays potato skins contain no potato skins. So the article is talking about the restaurant, TGI Fridays, el Fridays de toda la vida. Let's continue reading. A New York City woman on Wednesday demandó TGI Fridays, claiming that the company misleads consumers by selling potato skins snacks that contain potato flakes and potato starch, but not actual skins. So very quickly, to mislead means to cause someone to have a wrong idea or the wrong impression about something. It continues and says, the lawsuit by Solange Troncoso said that the Idaho Potato Commission and others inside and outside the industry have associated potato skins with healthy eating since they started appearing on restaurant menus half a century ago. So apparently, sailors used to eat potato skins to fight off diseases, right? To prevent diseases. And it became known as a healthy snack. So this woman, Solange, is saying that the company is misleading consumers and presenting something different than what they advertised. They are advertising potato skins, but in fact, de hecho, they are not made from potato skins. She is claiming that the company defrauded her and other consumers into purchasing or buying an inferior product, either by mistake or at full price. The complaint says, the presence of potato skins imparts a further value, un valor añadido, in the eyes of reasonable consumers. So again, I'll let you know how that story develops, or I'll forget all about it. Either way. That story, by the way, was written by Jonathan Stemple. Okay, we have one more before I move on. This one is my favorite. The headline reads, UK prison guards smell a rat and find rodents stuffed with drugs. So very quickly, this is a figurative sentence in a way. They did find rodents, right? Roedores, stuffed with drugs, rellenos de drogas. But they didn't literally smell a rat. Okay, the expression to smell a rat is an expression that is used to say that you suspect that someone is talking to the police. It's a term that you might have heard, que quizás hayas oído, in gangster movies or mafia movies, prison movies. So again, UK prison guards smell a rat and find rodents stuffed with drugs. It says, suspected organized criminals have been stuffing the bodies of dead rats with drugs, phones, and cash and throwing them over the walls of a British prison to get contraband to the inmates, the government said on Monday. It says, guards at Guy's Marsh Prison in Dorset, southwest England, grew suspicious when they found the bodies of 3 rats with long stitches along their stomachs, officials said. Stitches are puntos. They discovered the animals had been disemboweled and filled with 5 mobile phones and chargers, 3 SIM cards, cigarette papers, and a large amount of drugs, including cannabis and a synthetic substitute, as well as tobacco, they added. This discovery shows the extraordinary lengths to which criminals will go to smuggle drugs into prison, and underlines why our work to improve security is so important. The government did not say when the rats were found, which, by the way, makes me think that they've been doing this for a long time and they only recently discovered the problem. Criminals in the past have tried to use tennis balls, pigeons, palomas, and drones to bring contraband into prison. So I guess dead rats was just the next new thing, right? I guess where there is demand, somebody will find a way to supply. I mean, drugs in prison must be super expensive, and it's one of the few things that sell themselves, I guess, right? No marketing required. Also, that sounds like the worst way to spend your day. Catching rats and killing them and taking out their organs and filling them up with phones and drugs. Not for me. But hey, where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, quick music break, and I'll be back in a second to talk about other stuff.
Yo, my mind's fresh and I'm on the beach. Chilling, smoking on a marijuana leaf. In my dreams, then I turn it to reality. Nature's art, you're living in a gallery. Play your part, you pay a bigger salary. The corporation, enslaving nation, my frustration. Reason why I blaze the ancient medicine. Yo, and then I settle in. Time weed, bro, took it on the plane. What you think for the drink or the iced tea? And a lemonade. Heavenly how I'm feeling, no time for enemies. Only family and close friends. We about to ghost end, chilling, billing green in a gold tent. Gold sunlight shining bright on my gold skin. That's enough damn gold, I don't need a damn chain. I got gold in my soul, got me flying like a plane.
You find my feet, get my bags.
All right, we're back. That was a rapper called Kazi, and you can find him on SoundCloud under the name Kazi Got Beats, Kozi, Got Beats. All right, now we move on to our next segment, which is our Today in History segment, where we take a look back in time and see what happened on a day like today, but several years ago. So let's check in with history.com and see what's up. Today, I'm not going to focus on only one event. I'm going to talk about a few different ones, and we have a bit of a theme, okay? And the theme is space. So those of you who know me know that I'm a big fan of space, right? Del espacio, space. We don't say the space, by the way, unless we're talking about a specific space, like the space between the sofas is too small. But when we're talking about outer space, it's just space. So I don't know if you're aware, but a few days ago, the first real photographs of a black hole, un agujero negro, were taken. This is according to the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. And when you look at the photo, you think, oh, is that it? But when you think about what it is, it's incredible. We have seen what we thought was unseeable, is what Shepard Dolman said on the 10th of April, so 2 days ago. Shepard Dolman, by the way, is an astrophysicist at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics that I just mentioned. So in honor of this incredible feat, de esta hazaña, feat spelled F-E-A-T, not F-E-E-T, like the feet that you use to walk. In honor of this feat, today's history segment is about space. Today is Friday, the 12th of April, or April 12th. For the first one, we go back to the year 1961. And if that year rings a bell, si te suena, it should. The headline reads, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin becomes the first man in space. On April 12th, 1961, aboard the spacecraft Vostok 1, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin becomes the first human being to travel into space. During the flight, the 27-year-old test pilot and industrial technician also became the first man to orbit the planet, a feat accomplished by his space capsule in 89 minutes. So Vostok 1 orbited Earth at a maximum altitude of 187 miles and was guided, fue guiada, entirely by an automatic control system. The only statement atribuido, to Gagarin during this 1 hour and 48 minutes in space was, "Flight is proceeding normally. I am well." So that's the only record of something that he said during the flight. After his historic feat was announced, the attractive and unassuming Gagarin became an instant worldwide celebrity. So everybody knew him. He was awarded the Order of Lenin and given the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. Then monuments were raised or built in his honor across the Soviet Union, and streets were named after him. So he became a hero. And I think more importantly for that time, the USSR, the Soviet Union, beat the United States. And this was the time when the space race was really heating up, calentándose. And 8 years after this, the United States would put the first man on the moon. And I know there are people who don't believe in that, but that's a topic for another day. Next one. For this next one, we go back to the year 1981, so 20 years after Gagarin became the first man in space. And the headline reads, "The space shuttle Columbia is launched for the first time." So on this day, April 12th, in 1981, the space shuttle Columbia is launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, becoming the first reusable spacecraft to travel into space. Piloted by astronauts Robert Crippen and John Young, the Columbia undertook a 54-hour spaceflight, vuelo espacial, of 36 orbits before successfully touching down or landing at California's Edwards Air Force Base on April 14th. Regular flights of the space shuttle began after April 12th, right after the launching of Columbia. However, sin embargo, 5 years later, on January 28th, 1986, NASA and the Space Shuttle program suffered a major setback when the Challenger exploded 74 seconds after takeoff, después del despegue, and all 7 people aboard were killed. If you haven't seen the footage, the video is pretty shocking. And if you have seen the footage, then you definitely remember it. By the way, a setback is something that happens that stops or reverses your progress. Okay, un contratiempo. So 2 years after that, in September 1988, space shuttle flights resumed or continued with the successful launching of the Discovery. In following years, the space shuttle carried out or completed several important missions, such as the repair and maintenance, mantenimiento, of the Hubble Space Telescope and the construction and manning of the International Space Station. That's an interesting verb, by the way, manning, from the verb to man, like hombre, M-A-N, which means to operate, to run. And it can also mean to defend, like man the base. So after this, in 2003, a tragedy in space again shook the world. On February 1st, Columbia, on its 28th mission, disintegrated during re-entry as it was coming back into Earth's atmosphere. All 7 astronauts aboard were killed. And in the aftermath, the space shuttle program was grounded, was stopped, until Discovery returned to space in July 2005. Amid concerns that problems that had downed Columbia had not been fully solved. So even though there were still concerns about safety, they began to operate again. Risky, arriesgado, but I guess it worked out. So several astronauts have died over the years, trying to achieve new feats, trying to push the boundaries. And that's one of the reasons that it bothers people, molesta a algunos, when people claim that the moon landing never happened. It's kind of disregarding the work of tens of thousands of people and the lives of many as well. But again, that's a topic for another day. I might have a guest on the show to talk about it, but we'll see. By the way, the results are in. The results from the polls on Instagram and Twitter for the movie of the week. And it was an overwhelming victory. Una victoria abrumadora for Green Book, which won the Oscar, so I get it. I understand. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll watch it, and on Wednesday's show, I'll break it down. Okay, I'll talk about it. I'll give you my thoughts. I'll tell you about things I liked, things I didn't like, etc. And I'll try to analyze it a little bit. All right, that's the show for today. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iVoox, YouTube, etc. And remember, the best way to support the show is to leave a 5-star rating and a quick review. English with Dane will be back on Wednesday, 17th of April. So, yeah, talk to you later. Bye-bye.